Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I am Tyler Metcalf, joined, as always, by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how are we doing?
Doing fantastic, Metcalf. I'm really more pumped for this episode than ever just because of last night's shenanigans and chaos. So let's just get the party started. How are we doing?
Recovering, I guess. I mean, it was wild. In case any of you missed it, we had the live show reacting to the lottery. And if you're living under a rock, shocker, the Dallas Mavericks won it. Rewarded for all of their good process and ethical, decision making and team building over the last few months. Exactly what you want to see from the basketball gods. I'm blanking on who said it, so I apologize. But someone on some show said it last night or this morning, that this is proof that there aren't basketball gods, and I think I kind of tend to agree.
It's tough. The internet's had a field day lately, and well deserved, because I think we all responded the exact same way of like, "Are you kidding me? This is how it's going to end." The moment I saw, Portland at 11, I was like, "This is really happening, isn't it? They're going to do this to us." So, no, I do not believe they're rigged, but I love everyone that wants to get fired up and talk about it because I enjoy those rants. They're fantastic. So I just woke up like, did that really happen? Were we all hallucinating? And now it's just, another nightmare too, where we get to talk about the Spurs at 2. Shout out Spurs fans. I missed you guys so much. So it's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a very chaotic year. And I can't believe you trade Luka and land Cooper Flagg. I don't think Hollywood could have wrote that script, Metcalf. It just is ridiculous. And then,
some might argue that they did.
Yeah, exactly. And to get past that, I feel like we did a mock draft last night. Shout outs to everyone on the team. Really, all hands on deck, and that's at noceilingsnba.com. It's free. Go check it out. But we did a mock draft, and I feel like this morning I was even looking, and I was like, we're getting interested with some of these some of these spots. They're just getting some real pivots right now. Now things are going to change with the combine going on and buzz and everything. But like, I think Maxwell brought it up last night in our war room. He's like, there's going to be a death sentence for point guards at one point in this first round. And I was like, oh shit, he's onto something. So it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and I think even with centers too, where it's like, okay, like I may not love some of these guys, but if you have a real need at center or like a gaping hole at your center spot, I don't typically love drafting specifically for need, but if you're missing that, you kind of have to take one. And even if you might not think a guy is worth the 7th, 8th, 9th pick or in that range, you might have to reach on him because it's going to get real dicey real quick with some of these teams. But real quick, like you mentioned, mock draft up at noceilingsnba.com last night on the live show, which is also on the podcast feed over on YouTube. After our live reactions, we also did the lottery war room style mock draft, and that's how we conduct every single mock draft that we do. It's input by the team. We vote on guys, and No Ceilings Plus subscribers get access to all of those videos. And No Ceilings Plus subscribers, that we do have a deal going on for just this week only, $5 a month or $50 for the year. Go over, hop on that, take advantage of it. Gives you access to select articles, our private Discord, our private rankings, specific Q&As with us, all that good stuff, and some other stuff, including discounts on the draft guide once we get there. Additionally, I'll have a piece on Carter Knox coming later this week. I put up a film school on Danny Wolf last week, and the reception to that has been really good. So I appreciate everyone checking that out. Incredibly fun player. And Rucker, it might be a little out of date now so that we actually have a lottery, but he did his chaos rankings, and it's a really fun read still, especially since he had Dallas at 1. Going forward, just can you please use your powers for good instead of evil? So,
I didn't mean to. It was funny because after the lottery, I just was like everybody else trying to kind of gather myself and like, okay, am I falling over? Am I about to have a stroke? And then I realized my power rankings of chaos were all in order for the top 3 picks. So didn't mean to do it, but I'll be more careful next year.
Although we might be onto something here. Maybe you have a superpower. Who knows?
Maybe.
Uh, any other thoughts on lottery draft order and or the chaos?
Well, I mean, I think 1-2 is going to be pretty chalk, and I think everyone's going to try to stir it up for a little bit. I think, you know, the more I keep thinking about it, I think the party's going to start at 3. I think I'm not sold. You know, we projected one way, and this morning I woke up like, could we go other ways? Like I was like, the 3 gets really interesting in a hurry. So I don't know. Was there anything else that stood out to you that's like not the obvious? I know everyone's going to talk about the top 3, but I feel like when we get to certain points, I'm also like, I kind of like these because the lottery, you also get to a point where like, if you're not going to get one, sometimes there's an intriguing spot to land at. And you try to also play devil's advocate for some teams of like, okay, here's the names I would be thinking of, but that list probably is going to change after we get some buzz and intel.
I just sticking at 2 with the Spurs real quick. I know we're gonna just have Dylan Harper there until forever. And I guess it's just one of those situations where you draft the guy and you worry about fit and how it works later. You draft the talent, you draft the upside, and I get that. I like Dylan Harper a lot. I really hate that fit, and I'm not sure that you can play him, Castle, Fox together. Obviously, not all 3 at the same time, but even a rotation of those guys, I think it gets really messy, really quick. I trust Harper to probably be the best off-ball shooter of those, but it's not like he showcased a ton of feel in terms of off-ball movement, off-ball scoring and stuff this year. I know context and all that stuff, but I love Dylan Harper as a player. I really, really hate that fit.
I'm shocked you hate the fit. I love it. I really do love it because I just
you have no concerns about the spacing or how those guys play off each other or anything like that.
No, you'll figure it out. And here's my thing.
And then I just want to be clear that's where I'm at too. You take the guy and you figure it out. But I think there's a lot to figure out.
I'm not playing them together right away. Now everyone's going to hear that and be like, you're taking the 2nd overall pick and putting them on the bench. And I'm like, hell yes, I am. Because I think like you have to build this roster out. Now every Spurs fan, like I said, shout out to you guys. I know everyone's getting excited about like, hey, Giannis. It's like you're going to strip that roster in a Giannis trade. Like it is going to happen. The Bucks are not calling and saying, hey, we'll take 3 picks and whatever players you don't want. They're going to say, give us the players you don't want to trade and picks. So you're going to strip that roster. So like I'm taking, and if you do that trade, like, yeah, Giannis Victor is very excited. I'm just going a little off rep, but like the Thunder aren't going anywhere. Like they are a very deep team. There's a lot of deep teams in the West. You got to build depth. So like I would take Harper, let him figure it out. I still, like me and you, loved Castle. We were very, very high on Castle as a prospect. He was great his first year. I think he's going to be a monster his second year. So like I would kind of just like dip down into that and be like, Harper's going to be our change of pace guy early on while he gets his feet wet. I think him and Castle together would be outstanding. I think if the shot comes along, you could play him and Fox together. The spacing, I get the questions, very well deserved, but I just get to a point where like I've always felt this is a 2-headed monster of a draft. And I just think Harper's like, man, you get him into the mix, you're dancing around the room. I know Ace Bailey's upside, I get it, but Harper just seems like a high ceiling, high floor type of prospect for me. So I think Spurs fans should just take him and be pumped about it, and you will figure it down the road, like figure it all out. Worst case scenario, you have a phenomenal 6-man that you have some really good depth right away. And also like injuries happen, you guys get banged up, keep assets, keep building.
I agree. I just think it's clunky.
It's weird for sure. Yeah.
Just the way that they could have fallen. Obviously it's never a bad thing to have the number 2 pick. It's just like, man, I in terms of ideal fits and everything falling into place, it's like, okay, we're going to have to maneuver these pieces around for some time to try and figure it out. Some of the other kind of things that I've been curious about is, and we'll do an episode on this in a week or two, but there are going to be guys who fall, and because there always are for starters, but in that 7 to 12 range, there are some really really talented guards and wings who could end up falling a little bit because maybe a team reaches on a big or something like that because of need, or takes a home run swing on a toolsy wing that may be more of a project than some other guys. But the number one name that I kind of keep looking at is Jeremiah Fears, and this has happened in the last couple mocks that we've done, where previously it was always all right. Let's just go with that Nets pick, and they're going to take that home run swing at 6, 7, 8, wherever they were slotted, and but if they don't, if they swing on a Yegor Demon, if they swing on a Kaman Malawach or something, someone else other than Fierce, the fall for him gets really steep really quickly. And I don't think it's a case of a talent or upside or potential issue. It's a lot of it's fit and him not making sense on a lot of teams after that Nets pick. And come draft night, I think that's going to be really fascinating.
Yeah, someone's going to fall. Like I think everyone gets a little passionate this time of the year, which we love. We love you guys being here and being like, all right, draft fever, let's go. But I think people get a little passionate of like, I just saw him going 7th in 3 other mocks. And it's like, okay, like this is how it happens. If one domino goes this way, then all of a sudden a name could fall down. I encourage everyone, like we kind of gave a little teaser last night with the War Room on our YouTube channel. Like go check it out. Like we go to war with each other and about players. Fears is pretty much like, I think it's maybe since we started No Ceilings, the one name that we just continued to go to battle about. Like there's people very passionate.
Fears and Trey Johnson have been the 2 big ones.
What'd you say?
Fears and Trey Johnson have been the 2 big ones.
Yeah, Fears and Trey Johnson are questioning some friendships. But it's funny because it's just you get passionate about like, hey, I like him, but he should go later. And then some guys are like, I love him, he should go, top 5. So one of those names gets through the cracks, and all of a sudden you're really going to be falling down the ranks a little bit. I think we get shocked with some names still on the board at times, but we're like, you look back and you're like, I get it. It's just, this is the year where there's going to be some value. And as I hinted before, I think you really look at that point guard position. Like there's going to be some guys that if you're still on the board at this pick, you might not be going for 5 more picks. And there could be trade ups. There could be a lot of stuff, but Trey, Jeremiah Fears, it's going to be really interesting with a lot of these guys up there right now to kind of look around and say like, hey, what's the buzz? Because we've heard it all year, Metcalf. Like there's still a very wide range with a lot of these names that we're like, man, we've had him top 10 and some teams are saying that late. So, and then you talk to teams that do have them early. So it's just going to be really, really crucial these next couple weeks and, workouts leading up into the draft. But it's going to be fascinating because there's always names that slip. And I think people will be a little surprised this year about what names can still be on the board.
Let's pivot over to just some combine talk. And shout out D Joda in the chat asking about Neek's measurements. Only 2 days into the combine so far as of recording this. And we've had measurements yesterday. We had testing today. How do you, I love the reactions, especially on social media to these couple days, but how do you take in this info from the combine?
People foam at the mouth for measurements. I posted something on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, that was completely irrelevant. I feel like the first comment I got was like, when do the measurements come out? And I was like, good afternoon to you too. I mean, we've talked about this before. It's always a good refresher. I take every measurement as like, does that match what I'm watching on tape? And sometimes if it's a little bit more impressive, I get more excited, but I'm not looking at a guy and being like, moving you 10 spots down because your wingspan wasn't that long. But, if guys play longer than what they measure, that tells me something. If guys also like, I'm watching their tape, I'm like, they look gigantic. And then all of a sudden they measure huge. Like I was the most excited to see Yegor Demon's measurements because I saw him in person. And I was like, he looks gigantic. And I spent like the entire warm-ups before the game, like comparing him to other players. And I was like, I think he's going to be closer to 6'10 and 6'8. Like he's huge. And then shout out Corey. Corey got to see him in LA. And I think the first text we got was he is gigantic. So like seeing Yegor's measurements was great. Seeing these other guys that we've been hearing buzz around, like Colin Murray Boyles, I know for me and you was a huge one. And
That's a big one.
Our No Ceilings team was a huge one. And I was shocked when the number came in. I was like, that's a great number for him. So what Neek
better,
measured,
it could have been so much worse.
Yeah.
Given how some people around the league were worried about him.
Neek was 6'5 and a quarter, barefoot with a 6'8 wingspan. Yeah, I thought he would have been a little bit longer, but
I was expecting like another inch or so on the wingspan, but I
feel like he measured
plays
bigger
big
last year. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, he's old, so he might be shrinking at this point.
Yeah. You know? What about you? What do you think? What stands out to you?
Murray Boyles being, what was it, 6'6 and a quarter or 6'6 and a half, barefoot, was big. I thought Trey Johnson's measurements were fantastic. 6'5", a little over, barefoot, really good wingspan, really good vertical. And that's one of those guys who I've had at 4 basically all year, who I'm really excited about still. And once his body fills out a little bit and we're looking at him in year 3, 4, 5, I think he's going to be a monster. So I was really encouraged by his numbers. You mentioned Yegor is gigantic. Danny Wolf, I thought, measured really well too. Cedric Howard, we're doing an episode on him later this week, so we don't have to dive too into it, but 7'2.5" wingspan. My goodness.
Sorber?
No, Coward.
Oh, Coward. Sorry, my internet's having a fun time right now. But the Tatum news hit, and then my internet starts playing games with me. I'm having a day, let me tell you. Coward, yeah, I'm really pumped for the episode later this week about him because secret's out. This is the talk of the town right now or across the league. So I keep telling Duke fans, don't get attached.
Coward, so hot right now.
Don't get attached. Yeah, Coward, so hot right now. Don't get attached, Duke fans. I don't like your chances. And then Sorber, I was doing a fist pump with that wingspan, 7'6". He's a gigantic human being. So yeah, there's a
shocker.
Malawach, gigantic human being. I agree with you. The Trey Johnson I thought was a really big, like that's a great measurement for him. And then VJ Edgecombe, 6'4", barefoot was a whoa. That was a huge surprise. So
the wingspan was kind of surprising to me as well. I thought it was going to be a couple inches longer.
Who was it for?
VJ. I was kind of surprised his wingspan wasn't longer.
Thought it was going to be longer. For sure thought it was going to be longer. So I'm right there with you.
It's still like a +3 or something, but I don't know. I feel like he plays bigger.
I mean, the bottom line is with a lot of these guys, like VJ, I'm looking at guys like VJ. I'm like, are you going to be the size of a shooting guard? Like a small shooting guard, or are you like him being at 6'5"? I'm like, man, that opens up another world,
especially with his athleticism.
Yeah, and but like I'm also seeing like the max vert numbers today, and some of those guys, like VJ wasn't first, but I'm also like I watch VJ on the court and I see him jump higher than other people. So like it's a game dunk or two, and like I get it, but like. It's nice to just have some confirmation on what you're watching on tape, because obviously until we get to that point with No Ceilings, like I would love to see every single one of these guys in person, but we'll get there.
Any measurements that concerned you? A couple for me, not that we expected, or I expected, I'm not going to speak for you. Not that I expected Derek Queen to blow the athletic testing out of the water. But I thought his measurements were kind of rough. I thought the testing stuff was really rough in terms of explosiveness and agility. I thought his numbers were really concerning. And then Jace Richardson, tiny, we've been telling you guys. He's a really smart player, good shooter, but that's a rough measurement. Anyone else for you that, and again, all of these are just data points. We're not none of these totally skew our projection or anything like that. It's just another piece of data.
Yeah, I mean the Jace one was a bummer because I really have warmed up to him as a player, but it was a tough one because you're just kind of trying to figure out like, well, is he more of an off ball guy that is going to be undersized? And then you start to be like, well, can we unlock the on ball? Which I think there's some on ball juice, but now these are just tough because the questions start to come. Like we're in like they get more, you're putting them in bold if you're a scout. So ones that disappointed me. I'm trying to, I
was hoping for an extra inch for Jeremiah Fears, but his wasn't bad. Just
yeah, I'm kind of there with you.
And Ace,
I knew everyone was going to react,
Yeah.
but I was like, rounding up, we're probably still in that 6'9" wheelhouse, which is fine. I had one and I'm losing my mind. Miles Bird kind of was a bummer. I was
That
like,
one was
I
tough.
thought you're going to be a little bit
he's
taller.
what, 6'4" and a quarter,
6'4" and a quarter. Which is like he's still got the wingspan to make up for it, but I just thought maybe we're going to be have a little bit more juice. I just have one and I'm losing my mind now. A positive, Elijah Martin really, really shocked me. And Boogie Fland, I thought were great numbers for both of them because I was like, you think they're a little smaller, and Boogie was like 6'2" barefoot, which I was like, that's a big number for Boogie.
Yeah.
Still skinny, but like 6'2". I was like, oh, I thought we were going to be 6'2" in shoes. So I had one and I'm losing my mind. Oh, Will Riley I was very excited about the height because he was about 6'8.5" without shoes, but then his wingspan is like negative. So I was like, oh, so
got those T-Rex arms.
Yeah, it's I've seen a couple Jurassic Park jokes online about it, and it's been fantastic. So like Riley's still humongous, but it's just kind of like negative wingspans kind of get annoying. So I think that was the only one that kind of bummed me out. But it's been a good combine for a lot of these numbers. I feel like a lot of these came back, and I was like, oh yeah, this is great. So that's why this class is going to be fun.
Okay, let's move on to the core of this episode. And last week we went on the offensive end. We talked about our top 5 offensive engines, our top 5 play finishers. If you missed that episode, go check it out. Podcast feed, YouTube, all that good stuff. And while you're there, just hit that subscribe button on YouTube. We're almost at 15,000. So if we can hit that by the weekend, you guys are incredible. The growth and support has continued to be insane all year. But this week we got defenders. We're going to do perimeter defenders. We're going to do rim protectors. Let's start with top 5 perimeter defenders. Did you have any honorable mentions that just missed out on your list?
A couple. I had Otega Owe, who I still love as a second round little sleeper, and Javon Small, who I believe lit the Nets on fire today at the combine. I don't know why. I love him. I love him. I don't know why. It's one of those guys that I fall in love with, a second round guy, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm in. And I think
he's going to play 15 years professionally somewhere.
Probably somewhere.
Maybe a couple years here and there in the league overseas. He's going to make a lot of money playing.
Just plays. I like how he plays. So those are my 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
I kind of wrote one down, but I was like, I don't know if I have you in this category. Yaxel?
Not for me.
I think maybe more of like a rim protector. He should have been like a deep honorable mention, but I kind of put him down and I was like, actually, I don't know. I don't know about that one. Yeah. What about you? Honorable mentions?
My honorable mentions, Adu Thiero, Lamont Butler, point guard from Kentucky. I love him. I just can't quit him.
We got super sleepers we love. I get it.
Miles Bird, I have questions about the discipline and stuff, but the defensive playmaking numbers are insane. And then Asa Newell was kind of in that 6 to 7 range on both lists for me, so I just kind of threw him here because going back to the Montverde film, I love the way that he defended on the perimeter, moved his feet, switched a whole bunch of stuff. I'm hoping that we see more of that from him in the league, but he was really close. Just didn't quite make it for me.
Had Asa on my honorable mention for the rim protectors, but we'll get to that. I love Asa. Continue to love him. I just think he's one of those prospects that's solid, and he's not gonna get you pumped out of your mind about like upside and sexiness. But I think you might be shocked and be very pleased if you get Asa Newell on your team. Might play for a very long time.
Agreed. All right. Who is number 5 on your list?
Okay,
And
so
if we both have the same person on our list, we'll talk about him at the higher spot. So if Rucker's number 5 is my number 1, we'll wait till my number 1.
it's perfect. Just a fantastic way of describing it. I've got him at 5. I'm sort of getting a little drunk on some late momentum. I watched his tape, caught up on it. There's something here. This is someone that Metcalf was very high on to start the year.
Oh, I think we have the same guy.
I've got Drake Powell at
Same.
5.
Same.
I think I could have had him higher.
Yeah.
Now, let me start off with saying, like, I caught up on everything. So everyone's like, well, but the offense. No, we're talking about defense. We're talking about defense, folks.
This is a defense.
This is a defensive episode.
You will notice that he didn't make either list on the
he did not make the list on the offensive episode. The defense, there's something here. Like, there is something. Like, I caught up on his tape and I was like, oh my goodness, there's something here that I would want to work with.
Yeah,
from an NBA team. I thought when he was not going to play in the scrimmages, it was smart and also maybe telling a little bit, because I was like, he must feel pretty good. I think if I'm a team with multiple picks, I would want to get him as like a high upside. Now we're talking about a high recruit, like just had a tough year, didn't produce, but then goes to the combine today. I think he had like a 42.5, 43-inch max vert. He's got
that's fun
7-foot wingspan. I think he was like 6'5" and change barefoot. I watched him on the perimeter against a couple point guards, and I was like, oh my goodness, there's something here you'd want to work with. So, like, I love Drake Powell at 5, but I was like, man, I could push him higher maybe. But Metcalf, it's tough because I know the offense is raw. I like it a little bit more than people do, but I would definitely, like, I think he's a first rounder. End of the first round, like, project probably is like, I would say, like, I just think he's going to sneak up there because you want to get him in there and like try to unlock the tools.
Powell is like the perfect example of to me of why you have to watch these guys to really get a sense of his defense and the impact that he has on that end of the floor, because his defensive playmaking numbers, like his block and steal rate and his per game averages on those, are pretty average. Like none of them are going to pop off the screen when you look at them. Defensive rating when he was on the court, 98.3, which ranked 41st. Defensive rating when off, 101.0, which ranked 72nd. So not overwhelming there, but when you watch him play, you see the physicality that he plays with. He has the strength to guard up and to guard forwards and wings. He has the foot speed to move with point guards and shooting guards, and then the strength to really knock them off their spot and the length to contest. And I think he's really disciplined too, where when guys are throwing shot fakes and head fakes around, he's not jumping at everything. I really like Drake Powell on that end of the floor. Could he be a Peyton Watson type of impact player? I kind of think so. I think Watson's length and explosiveness was a little different, but both guys had rough freshman seasons, really good athletic tools. I still like Drake a lot.
Yeah. I think that the Peyton Watson's a good little shout out. And I don't even think the offense is like, there's good stuff like his footwork, I like a lot. I think he's a little shifty. I think he can get downhill with the athleticism. There's a good area to work with. Like, it's not like there's nothing offensively. The shot needs some work, but like I do think there's some good stuff where you're like, we could work with this. And he's a slasher right now with potential serious defensive upside. So I think that's like we've seen guys stick forever being able to do that. And I think if you can get him respectable as a 3-and-D guy, like, absolutely. He's got the tools. He's got the athleticism, the length. Like, I just am buying a little bit late.
He also needs an injection of confidence too, because the amount of stuff that he looked down or turned down or didn't even look at was infuriating. But just real quick. All right. Drake Powell or Miles Bird?
Drake Powell.
Drake Powell or RJ Lewis?
Drake.
Drake Powell or Cedric Howard?
Cedric.
Drake Powell or
Slip and
Adutiero?
That one gets a little. I would say Adu right now, but I know where you're going
You're
with it.
you're
You
you're
wanted
high
me to
on
go the other way.
Adutiero. Drake Powell or Hugo Gonzalez?
Hugo, come on, I'm in.
Drake Powell or Carter Knox?
Oh, I'll go Drake.
Okay.
Oh, that one's
That
tough.
one's
I haven't
tough.
caught up on Carter, so I'll go Drake right now. I haven't caught up.
I think Drake's a little more fluid of an athlete.
Yeah.
Carter's significantly better shooter.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Number 4. Who you got?
Okay, I went a little bit away from the wing here. This one might upset you, but I'm getting a little bit out there. Fans might like this. I'm going on-ball defense here.
Yeah.
I'm going LeBaron Philon.
Okay. He almost made my list. He should have been in my honorable mentions.
Here we go. Here we go. With the almost made the list. You make me nervous when because you're just gonna rip off all the. What? Who did you have it for?
I had Cam Matthews from Mississippi State.
Okay, you went that route. I get it. Okay,
let's talk about Philon.
I get the physically. I get it. He's a little thin, but I'm just talking I wanted to be like, hey, I'm not going to just list a bunch of forwards. I wanted to kind of be like, okay, well, who also do I just love out there? Point of attack guy. And I like Philon. I keep buying into the nastiness, the competitiveness. I'm also just a big believer of hey, if the weight is the only thing really making me nervous, why? Because I'm he can get to a point where he's a guard. He's got good size. He can get to a point where he's going to be fine. And he's so slithery. We always talk sometimes you don't want to add too much weight because it takes away your effectiveness. So I just like his mentality defensively, especially when he's guarding the ball and how hard he competes. So that's why I put him. I was like, hey, I'll put him at 4.
And he plays with some serious shit to his game.
Yeah.
A great one to watch from a defensive standpoint is that Oklahoma game where he went up against Fears. Ton of confidence, really tenacious defender, good footwork, good length, physical, doesn't shy away from anything. I think that's a really good shout.
I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Am I going to the next one?
Well, I got to talk about Cam Matthews.
No.
So why do you hate Cam Matthews?
No, I don't hate Cam Matthews. That's a good one. Didn't think of that one. Probably Cam should have been up there. What do you like about him?
All of his defense. The fact that he's listed at 6'7", 235. That's a nice starting point. Steal, those aren't his combine measurements, so apologies if I'm a little off here there.
I got you.
But steal rate of 4.7, block rate of 2.9. Mississippi State's defensive rating when he was on the court was 95.7, which was 24th. When he was off, that jumped to 105.7. The defensive playmaking combined with the physicality, the fundamentals, I think this is going to be one of those guys that goes late second, maybe UDFA, two-way, but makes a career purely off of the defensive end of the floor, while occasionally sprinkling in a bit of passing. If he can develop any sort of a corner 3, that'd be delightful. But I think he could be one of these rare guys who really earns minutes and a potential spot in a lineup based solely off of his perimeter and point of attack defense.
I love these guys because they're wild cards on the draft night because you'll look at the numbers and not really see it from an offensive side, but a contender would draft them just to be we're not letting you get to free agency. And if this could be one of our guys lower on the roster that we could develop, that's just a lockdown defender. Absolutely. That's a fun little wrinkle, especially with that size and just how impactful he could be. So Matthews is a little bit of a wild card, but I think the defense is that special and that unique that, he's got a chance to get drafted, whereas I think he averaged 7 points a game as a forward, but you watch him defensively and you're like, oh yeah, this is fun. So if it goes up, then that's a real unique weapon to have. So I like that. That's a good shout out.
And again, another guy where it's very important to note this is the defense episode, not the offensive episode.
Just defense.
All right, at 3, who do you have?
I have Nick Clifford.
Oh, same. Look at that.
It felt weird going 3, but then I was
Yeah.
like, I like 1 and 2 a lot.
I like 1 and 2 a lot.
I'm curious of your 1 and 2 order because I feel like mine might be different. It's gonna be funny when we don't have the same 2. Neek, I think for me, it's not even just Neek's defense this year because I think there's even more defensive ability if you go watch his tape last year. Because I think this year they asked him to do way more offensively. So I think he's still a really good defensive player, but I know that there's another level with that nastiness. And I also think we're going to see that early on in his NBA career. We're going to see him lean a little bit defensively, which is smart with young players because they're like, let me figure out the speed of the game on the offensive side of the ball. But for now, how can I make an impact? So I like Neek's softball stuff. I like how smart he is. He can pop out of nowhere and meet you at the rim for, weak side rejections. He can lock down on ball. He's smart with reading angles and jumping lanes. I just think he checks a lot of boxes.
He's another one of these guys where you really have to watch him to feel and understand the impact that he has on the defensive end because his block and steal rate this year was just 2. Historically, the block rate has fluctuated between 2.5 and 4. The steal rate has been around 1.5 to 2.5, which are all fine numbers, but they're not outstanding. If you're running a statistical model, he's not going to immediately pop as like, oh my God, what a defensive playmaker. But then you watch him defend everyone on the court and communicate switches and rotations and direct everything and then switch 1 through 4 with his strength and athleticism. And then even when he gets beat by a quicker guy, he has the length and athleticism and timing and composure to recover and contest. I love how disciplined he is. He never really panics when he gets beat off the dribble. It's always, all right, communicate, switch, veer back, do something positive to recover. And Colorado State's defensive rating when he was on the court was 97.2, which ranked 35th in the country. Not bad. Defensive rating when he was off was 110, which was 226. I know it's a team stat, but when there's that big of a differential with one guy, it's pretty damning.
I think he was one of the best wing defenders, perimeter defenders last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know people will be like, oh, it's a weaker class. Like, it's still a year later, and now he's in a stat class, and we still think he's one of the best perimeter defenders. So, like, that just tells you about Nick Clifford, and he's a quarterback out there. He's just so smart, and he's kind of off the ball. I love watching him because he just constantly is like looking around, trying to position himself, adjust, stays alert. I think it's just I love him as a player. Every time we do a mock draft, I'm like, I could see him going earlier. Like, if we put him at like 16, 17, and I'm like, I could see him going earlier. So I'm fascinated to see kind of where he ends up because it's just talented two-way guy.
Who do you have at 2?
All right, folks, we're gonna get a little dangerous here. Might shock some people. I have VJ at 2.
Ooh,
VJ
okay.
Edgecombe at 2.
I had VJ at 1.
I have Carter Bryant at 1.
I have Carter Bryant at 2.
There we go.
I flipped them back and forth like 5 times too.
I'm expecting you to give me every advanced number about VJ, and I'll be like, yeah, I know he's great, but I just am watching. I'm going off of the growth I saw from Carter throughout the year at Arizona. I watch them all the time, and I've got Carter at 6'8", 215 with freakish athleticism. Like, people didn't realize, like, people thought he could get up. And then today, Carter Bryant puts like a 39.5-inch vert, and he's got a 6'11" wingspan. So it's like, yeah, Carter's a freak too. So I don't know. You could switch those orders for me very easily. I think one's probably, would you say VJ's better on ball and then Carter's just better like?
I think VJ has a little more upside as a point of attack guy who can then also be that disruptive playmaker off the ball. I thought Carter was more consistent on defense throughout the year. But I think VJ's upside is a little higher, just given that perimeter agility. And Carter moves so damn well. His footwork, the way he sits down in the stance, gets over screens, similar what what we've been talking about with all these guys, is that ability to switch basically 1 through 4 and anything on the perimeter. They have the strength to battle bigger wings. They have the speed and footwork and fundamentals to stick with quicker guards, and then the IQ to piece it all together. And Carter's steal rate this year was 2.8. His block rate was 5.8. That's insane for a wing. And that explosiveness that he showcased at the combine today with the testing, that shows up on film constantly with his rebounding and weak side rim protection. And then even when we see him get out in transition or cut back door for lobs, when he was on the court, defensive rating of 95.1, which ranked 18th in the country. He has all the tools to be a really, really, really special defender. And I think a lot quicker than people may be giving him credit for.
Yeah, I think VJ will be interesting because I could see VJ being just an absolute monster at the next level. I think he gets a little maybe caught sometimes on just like trying to save some energy or coast a little bit, but I think that's just jumping to college. But like when VJ's rolling defensively, it's like, oh gosh, stay away from him. Chase down artists. But I just think Carter does a lot of stuff that people might not notice as much, I think, because it was limited minutes and he wasn't putting up the big numbers and he's coming off the bench. So Carter does a lot of that stuff. And I just, I will say seeing him in person, we've talked plenty about him, about how we've seen him, his physical transformation since Nike Hoop Summit 2 years ago. Seeing him in person earlier this year when I saw them against BYU, I was shocked at his measurement, his weight. I thought he was going to be like, because they had him listed at like 225. I thought he was going to be 225 and he was around 214. So like it's 214 cut up. Like he has room to put on 10. So if he's going to be even putting on more weight, oh my gosh, like it's going to be a scary, scary player. So I easily could put VJ at 1, but I just thought that was a little fun like, I love them both. Absolutely love them both.
Agreed. Okay, let's move on to top 5 rim protectors. Let's start out with honorable mentions. Some that didn't quite make the list, but I really wanted to put on or had on at one point and just moved off. Rasheer Fleming from St. Joseph's, Amari Williams from Kentucky, Dylan Cardwell from Auburn, Johan Berenger from overseas, Yannick Conan Niederhauser from Penn State, and Victor Locken from Clemson.
I had Rasheer Fleming as an honorable mention, Asa Newell, Janiah Broom I threw on there. It's tough because I kind of put Cooper Flagg because I was like, I think he's better as a rim protector than probably people realize, but maybe the role in the team. Yeah, so I put him down. Yeah, that's all I got there. You named some good ones, though. I feel like Yannick's having a very nice couple weeks.
He's having yes, he is. And I mean, but this is the type of setting that he should shine in because his measurables are insane. The athletic tools are insane. The rim protection numbers are really good. I'm not sure I trust him to stay on the court for more than 10 minutes, given the fouls and that he jumps at everything. But he's going to get 3 to 5 blocks in those 10 minutes. Okay, well, you already brought him up. You mentioned Cooper Flagg. He's number 5 on my list. Just going to run through some numbers because I think he's the best weak side rim protector in this class. Block rate of 4.9, steal rate of 2.8, defensive rating when he was on the court, 87.9, which was second, 94.6 when he was off, which was 16th. Opponent at rim field goal percentage when he was on the court was 50.3, which ranked 5th, and 54.5 when he was off, which was 76. I just think the way that he patrols that back line has the timing, the length, the explosiveness to really impact things as that secondary weak side rim protector is really special. And when you think about throwing out a defensive trio of Derek Lively, Anthony Davis, and Cooper Flagg, that's terrifying.
I think we could put him on like the list for every single episode.
Yeah.
Maybe not the handles episode, but like I do feel
it got better throughout the year.
It got better. And defensively, I think we only saw flashes of how good he is defensively because I think it was just the role situation, what they asked for him. So and I'm not saying he's a perfect defensive prospect. I think there's stuff that he can work on. But yeah, like there's some games where Cooper's feeling it a little bit and all of a sudden you see him fly out of nowhere. Like the tournament, he had a couple rejections, like help side. Like I was like, oh my gosh, there he is. So yeah, it was a weird, like doing this. I was like, I like my top 5. And then I was like, man, Flag not in here is weird, but I get it. I don't want to put him on every list.
Yeah, I just had to. The rest of my guys are more of the primary rim protector sort. Who is 5 on your list?
I'm going to go with the guy that was on your honorable mentions. I had Johan Berenger. I love him.
Yeah.
And he's nasty around the basket. He's so damn young. Just a great comment. You simply can't forget the defense wins championships. Yep, exactly. And Dallas is going to know that all too well. So Berenger, I love putting together his draft profile for a draft guide. Be on the look for that. It's going to be really, really fun. Fun fact, he grew up playing soccer. Me and you knew this, but did you know that he stopped playing because he couldn't find cleats his size? And his friends begged him to play basketball. Give it a try. That's when he fell in love with it. So he hasn't been playing that long, and I'm watching him defensively, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's special tools, gifts. I think people would be shocked if he ever measures when those come out. Oh my gosh, you're going to be shocked. So the length, the pop, the athleticism. I know he's smaller sample size and it's not a finished product, but I love him around the basket. And I think if he fills out a little bit, get some time, let him develop, you're going to be really shocked about, how good he can be. Like, even if he is a guy, Metcalf, that ends up as a stash, like, I think this is a stash that's coming overseas. It's just, you got to let him play and get time.
He's incredibly fun. And then you factor in, like you said, that he's been playing for 3-4 years. And he has that foundation of physical tools in terms of explosiveness and measurables, but then also the agility and the footwork that we always see from these international guys who grew up playing soccer. He has really, really special upside. Who do you have it for?
I have to do a little breaking news on the line for you, Metcalf.
Okay.
Boogie Fland is officially withdrawing from the NBA draft.
Interesting.
And that was a minute ago from Jonathan Gavoni, and he is entering the portal.
Oh.
Interesting.
I mean, I'm glad that he's transferring because that Arkansas backcourt would have been a disaster with another guard in it.
Was it him shooting today and then he just like missed one and walked off? He's like, I'm done. I'm kidding. I don't know. I'm just
ask him to take layups because that might have done it.
Because I really like Boogie, but I'm like, why would you not go through whatever?
Well, and that's the same thing with
feedback.
It's the same thing with Isaiah Evans withdrawing even before this week. Dude, this is the setting where you're going to shine, where you're going to knock down 29 out of 33s or something.
Maybe it was a move to put the price tag up. I don't know. I
like
thought those guys at least should have played, see what you're measured up with. Yeah. There's always a story behind the scenes.
What's the harm? Unless he had an offer that was contingent on, hey, this expires at midnight.
This has a time limit.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was your question? Who's next?
Who's that? Who do you have it for?
My guy, Thomas Sorber.
Okay. Oh, wow. You hate Thomas Sorber.
Yeah, apparently I hate Thomas Sorber. I'm going to shock you. I
have him at 1, so we'll talk about him later.
Okay, well, I really hate my list. I hate my list. I wanted to put him so much higher, but I thought I was going to be biased. So, gosh dang it, Rucker. I have him at 4. Now I want to move him up.
Yeah, well, you can't. You hate Sorber. At 4, I had Colin Murray Boyles.
Okay, I had him at 3.
Okay, let's talk about him.
Sorber, man.
No, not Sorber. Colin Murray Boyles. We'll talk about Sorber when we get to my 1 because you hate him, so the people have to wait because you did this.
Sorry, cut out. This is my internet. I hear every other word. So go ahead.
That's great. Colin Murray Boyles, power forward center, I guess, center from South Carolina. Favorable measurement at the combine. Thankfully, came in over 6'6", barefoot. Block rate of 4.7, steal rate of 2.9. I still don't love the idea of him playing full-time center, but his hands, his timing, his length, the foundation of him as an interior defender is just so damn good. And then you factor in how quick and accurate his hands are, how good he is with rotations and communication, and how strong he is. He's just really, really, really solid.
Yeah, he had good measurements. I got to remember this is not an offensive show, so we'll talk about just the defense.
But God, that shooting video was rough.
7 for 25 from the corner.
Yeah, not what you want.
Unofficial. Defensively, I mean, I at one point I was like, could I have him as an honorable mention as like a perimeter guy? Because I think he just moves around so well. I really like him. Wide range. Very wide range.
Incredibly wide range,
because it's just eye of the beholder. But like defensively, if you have the pieces in place, absolutely, I would go get Colin Murray-Boyles. But it's just one of the biggest ranges. And I was shocked from like what we've heard. Me and you have talked about this, but like from what we've heard, the buzz that's been going on. And I was shocked at those numbers that came in. I was like, man, those were much better than I thought. Like I thought he was going to be 6'5" barefoot.
Yeah.
And we were going to talk ourselves into like, could 6'6" work? Could 6'6.5" work? But 6'6.5" barefoot's a different story. So, and for everyone, it's usually like add an inch and a half, lucky. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, defensively, Metcalf, I really, really like him. I think he does a lot of special stuff, moves well, he's powerful. You try to post him up, he can hang with you. It's kind of like, hey, yeah, come on, welcome to my house. This is great. I like a lot of stuff he does on that side of the ball. I like his shot blocking too. I think he can meet people at the rim and smart anticipation.
And I think something they'll probably give him a little bit more leeway in the league is his strength and that ability to like wall up and stay vertical and absorb that contact, where I'm guessing the block numbers won't be as impressive as they were at South Carolina and in college. But I think he'll still be able to be a deterrent given his timing, positioning, length, and strength, especially where when guys go up into him and try and go through his chest, it's going to be a tough ask. Okay, so that was your 3?
That was my 3.
Okay. My 3rd was Ryan Kalkbrenner.
Okay, I had him at 2.
Okay. Let's talk about him.
I'm a little worried that I'm not buying enough stock on Kalkbrenner.
He's good.
He's massive. His measurements were awesome. I like how he plays. He has everything. He has every box I'm looking for in like a, hey, probably going to be a backup big for 12 years.
Yeah.
That I'm like, maybe if you're on a road trip in February and you got your starters banged up, like Kalkbrenner could really be a nice, put in the starting lineup, and then your fan base starts going like, should we just start Kalkbrenner more often? Like one of those guys where it's just like the rich get richer. Because he's humongous. He moves good. I think he's got good touch. His advanced numbers, I put together the draft guide and I was giggling. I was like, are these all right? Like they're fantastic. Like all of them are just awesome, basically. So I think I keep sleeping on him. But defensively, he's just so big and smart and like knows how to use his length, knows not how to like chase rejections. I feel like he's a smart player defensively that really knows how to use his size. So I like his ability around the basket, and I think he's I kind of toyed like, should I have him at 1 here?
I thought about that too. 3-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year, block rate of 7.3 this year. His lowest, 5 years at Creighton, but his lowest was still at 5.9, and every other year was over 7. So it just shows you how consistent he's been as that shot blocker, as that rim protector throughout his entire college career, where he won 3 Big East Defensive Player of the Year awards. When he was on the court, opponents shot 51.9% at the rim, which was 21st. When he was off, that jumped to 57.2, which was 157th. He has to exclusively play drop coverage. He can't defend in space at all, but in drop, he's incredibly disciplined. His hands are always high, really solid footwork, rarely fouls, doesn't chase stuff, really disciplined. It's not going to be like the sexiest pick. It's kind of like taking an offensive guard in the NFL draft, where the fan base isn't going to be over the moon about it, but it's someone who's going to make your team better. And it's a skill set and a player that your team needs. So I think he's just going to have a really solid 10-year career.
I'm like rooting for the Celtics to take him, like in the first round.
Yeah.
He's won Defensive Player of the Year every year at Creighton, I think.
I think 3.
Or
I think
3.
The last 3.
Excuse me.
Maybe 4.
No, 4. 4-time
4
Big East. Sorry.
Yeah.
Big East Defensive Player of the Year. He won the Defensive Player of the Year as a senior in high school. He averaged almost 6 blocks a game in high school as a senior. Like, I just think he's, and I agree, you got to play a drop. Be very specific. Like, you have to have him. That's why I'm like, hey, maybe he's a rotation big early, because you're like, we have a plan. But like the dude just knows how to play the right way, and he's humongous. So
yeah,
I just feel like, yeah, you maybe have to play him drop all the time, but like he is still such a disruptive force that's got a good basketball IQ and everything around the basket. So yeah, I like Kalkbrenner a lot. It's just this is one of those prospects this time of year where I'm like, why am I not higher on him? Like, why don't I buy more? Like, I don't know.
Okay. My number 2 was Kaman Malawach. I'm assuming he's your 1. You there? Kaman Malawach, was he your 1? Okay. Well, Kaman Malawach is my number 2. He's Rutgers number 1. This year, block rate of 6.8. And if, when we're talking about gigantic human beings, Kaman Malawach is the definition of that. His measurements were terrific at the combine this week. Again, block rate of 6.8. Opponents, when he was on the court, shot just 48.6% at the rim, which ranked 3rd. When he was off, 54.9%, which ranked 88th. So still solid, but sub 50% when he's on the court is an insane number. And he's just massive. You kind of know what you're going to get with him. I have concerns about how he's going to move in space, and if he can play at the level, if he can do all those other little things, but as a drop defender, as a rim protector, his ability to cover a ton of ground in short spaces and present a really imposing wall is incredibly daunting and a lot to overcome. He didn't make 1 on my list because I worry a little bit about the consistency with timing and awareness. I think he can be a little slow off the floor. I don't love the second jump at all, but there's so much upside there with how raw he is to the game still, how good of a kid and work ethic he apparently has and is. And then when you're just that big and generally move as well as he does at that size, it's tough to pass up. You back? No, you're muted. Can't hear you. Rucker's having some technical difficulties, which YouTube viewers can see that he's clearly thrilled about. Okay. Oh, there he is.
This is unbelievable. I'm literally calling internet. Back-to-back episodes. Gonna lose my mind.
Yeah, my back's getting a little sore from just carrying the show.
Writer, Fox Internet, you're the worst. Who did you just talk about? Scorber?
Malawach.
Okay, so I had Malawach at 1. Shocker. And the people are.
You love Malawach.
I don't know. I guess I Can I switch my Sorber and
Nope.
Malwatch? I don't go. You know what? I think it's more of like a right now. It's not a finished product as a
Yeah.
full time, but it's you. People feel him in there. Like when I see too many guards, like look up, like oh shit, and bring it out. And so like kind of factoring that in a little bit to my rim protector, and I didn't like the list. I didn't like that. I like Malwatch at one really original, but I guess I'm just buying kind of the upside because I do think once things start to click a little bit, I got to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's still raw. He's still trying to figure everything out. So like once everything comes around, I get it. I'm in. But didn't feel great there. I can't believe I had to at 4 and you had him at 1.
No, I think your point about the neverminds and the rim deterrence that Malawatch presents too is really important because that stuff doesn't show up in the numbers. And again, you have to watch these guys on the defensive end, but it's a lot of what we see from like Rudy Gobert, where maybe his block numbers aren't always insane, but then you watch the game and see how frequently guys get into the paint and they're like, oh, God, fuck this, and circle back out and reset the entire offense. And that's a big deal. All right, let's talk about my number one before Rucker's computer explodes.
Because I want to hear this is the only part I came back for this part. Talk to me about Mr. Sorber. Are you buying? Are you in?
Oh, I've been in.
Just the defense.
I've been in. All right, so the numbers with him are insane. Block rate of 7.6, defensive rating when he was on the court 90.7, which ranked 5th. When he was off, 111.9, which ranked 272nd. Opponent at rim field goal percentage was 48.3 when he was on the court, which ranked 2nd, and notably better than Malawatch. When he was off, though, opponents shot 62.4% at the rim, which was 330th. That's a lot.
Good.
He's very good.
Why do for everyone listening, I get in fights about Sorber. Like, this is my guy. I love Sorber.
Yeah, you love him so much you had him at 4.
I just don't want to be biased about these guys too much. Like, hey, shocker, I had Neat Clifford on another list. But, like, man, Sorber just, I get he's not a finished product, but, like, dude, gigantic. He's huge. And I also know, like, he wants to throw his weight around and be powerful and just destroy you with ceiling and positioning. And I'm talking about offense now. Defensively, there's just, like, I am a sucker for the defensive shot blockers, too, that just have that screw you when you, like, try to challenge them. Like, he spikes it into the 5th row. It's the little Kevin Garnett, like, mentality of, like, get that out of here, you know? I don't know. And the wingspan measurement just got me like, oh, here we go. So I don't know. I'm still bugged that people thought 6'10", 260 was small as a center.
So his official measurements were 6'9" and a quarter barefoot, 262.8, 7'6" wingspan.
Monster. He is a monster. I wrote an article this year and said he is a bully in the middle, and the measurements backed me up. So thank you. Jonathan Gavoni, shout out to the measurement king, apparently. What else do you like?
And I think he has. I think he has the potential to be the best defensive center in this class. I do worry a little bit about how they used him, where it was like a really aggressive drop, and it's like, hey, don't you dare take a step past the free throw line, or out of the paint for that matter. So, is that scheme based? Is that they don't trust him to move in space at all? I have some worries about that, but we're talking about rim protection right now. And I don't want him switching on the perimeter anyways. It'd be awesome if he did, but given how young he is and how dominant so many of his numbers are, I find it hard to believe that so much of this isn't real. And as a rim protector, a shot blocker, a drop coverage big, I think there's so much upside there. And then this is one of the rare guys on this episode where there's a lot to be really intrigued with on the offensive end as well. So I think he's still pretty raw, but if you can really start molding all of these physical traits and the production that he showed throughout this year, there's a really, really scary player there that can make a front office and developmental staff look incredibly good in a couple of years.
Oh, man. Okay, not crazy.
Well, also, this up, Sorber or Wolf.
Or who? Wolf?
Yeah.
Sorber.
I have them back to back, but I have Danny Wolf one spot higher. And I think a lot of that comes down to team context. Sorber or Asa Newell.
Every time you say a name, it cuts out. It's unbelievable. So just say Sorber. Who was it?
Asa.
Oh, that's a tough. Here's my problem. I came out aggressive with Sorber love. I had him like 11. I was like, man, I love him. I've watched everyone. I haven't watched his tape in a while. So now I'm like cooled a little bit, but like hearing how excited you got, hearing all the numbers, I'm like, wait a second. I've lost that love and feeling, and I've found it again. So him or Asa, I think right now I have Asa higher, but like that's where I start getting a little, man, because I do see what you're saying about like if he gets in the right place with the right, like there is a world in which this unlocks a really scary good player. Like how people talk about Malawatch is how I feel about Sorber sometimes. Like I love him. He does a lot of little stuff. But I think you're right with some of the questions about like the role, how they played him, stuff.
Sorber or Fleming? Different players, but
that one hurts. That one really hurts. I'll go Fleming.
Okay.
Give me one of them. Just give me one.
For what it's worth, I had all four of those guys back to back to back to back. So
wow.
That's my 15 through 18 range.
That's a good range right there. Ace is tough because I always have him in that range, and I'm always like, man, I like you.
I also think his context sucked this year.
It wasn't great. The funny thing is you watch all these prospects, and then you start watching games like slowing them down, and you're like, man, this is a real tough spot for you, huh?
Yeah. Trying to rim run, and Santos Cierro was sitting there every time.
Yeah, it's tough. Tough look.
Anything else? Defense, combine, lottery. Jason Tatum morning.
No, I mean the Sorber hour got me way. I really appreciate what you did there because that was a chess move because I've sort of got some life back into me now. I don't want to think about the Celtics' future because they can go in 20 different directions. Next year could be very ugly. Cavoni came out with another little mini bomb, and Knipple didn't participate today because he sprained his ankle 3 weeks ago, and he's 85%. So for anyone looking for cons numbers, keep looking. Not going to find it.
I think that's kind of smart by him too.
It's also genius.
Yeah.
It's also like, hey, prove it. I need the footage of when you rolled your ankle 3 weeks ago because it also might be a very strategic. I'm not saying it. We trust, agents, but I'm just saying it's also a very smart decision.
It's like, I'm getting an awful lot of top 7 love here.
Yeah.
Let's take it easy this week.
Con, I trust you, but do you really want to go out there and shoot only 45%?
Right.
No, I mean, a lot of these numbers have been interesting. I think there's a lot of names that are making some real noise. Cedric Coward's had a heck of a combine, and I think him and Carter Bryant are two of the worst kept secrets right now around the league. It's going to be really interesting. Like I've already started to reach around and see what's going on around like the buzz, but it's going to be fascinating. Kind of see the dominoes come in. What about you? Anything? Big T-Wolves win, by the way. Let's not focus on just my negativity. Like, congratulations to you.
The Julius Randle redemption arc is...
It's fun. When you get this one, it's really great. Yeah, it's great.
This version scary. Of him is incredibly fun.
It's just scary when it comes up to contract time because you're like, how about another prove it year? Another prove it year?
Yeah.
I wish a player would do that. Can we just keep doing prove it years for some reason? Like I play better that way. Go ahead.
Yeah, or just sign a long-term deal with the agent, but tell the player that it's just a 1-year deal or something. That seems above board and super ethical, right?
That would be an amazing thing is if they did that and the agent just said, hey, they gave you a 1-year deal. You got to prove yourself. Really, it's a 4-year deal, but like the player just never knows. It's always like, oh gosh, another year. What were you say?
Just another fun measurement. Kobe Sanders, just over 6'7" barefoot. Um, he's another one that's been really rising the ranks since Pitt, G League camp. I think he's going to have a really good week. I'm excited for scrimmages. Should be fun. Measurements, all that stuff is fantastic. They're great data points, but what happens on the court is what matters. So this is a blast, Rucker. We will be back on Thursday talking specifically about Cedric Coward and Liam McNeely, doing breakdowns for both those guys. In case you missed it, we had the live lottery reaction show on Monday night, and we did a war room style mock draft for the lottery, and then we wrapped it up and published the entire 2-round top 60 mock, or top 59. Shout out New York Knicks for cheating. Mock draft on the site over at NoCeilingsNBA.com. That's up, the written version. The video will be up this week as well for No Ceilings Plus subscribers, and we have a special deal going on through this week, $5 a month or $50 for the next 12 months. Go check it out. Got a lot of really good content that you'll get access to, and both that's already been posted and that's coming up. But he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker. I'm Tyler Metcalf. You can follow me at Team Metcalf. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to rate, review, subscribe, all that good stuff. Till next time, see ya.